Namaskar and welcome to In Focus, and my apologies for looking like one of the war wounded. Now, 1997 began with the Prime Minister, the Industries Minister and the Finance Minister promising serious measures to revitalize Indian industry. But the biggest problem, most industrialists say, is the question of confidence. How can they address that? Here to answer the question is the Industries Minister himself, Mr. Murasoli Maran. Mr. Maran, perhaps the biggest problem you face is not the small little things that need to be done, but the big picture. The real problem is, as you know, investment is an act of faith, and an act of faith requires confidence. And the one thing industrialists don't have is confidence in the future of your government.
I don't think so, in the sense nobody invests depending upon the political weather or temperature. They do it for their own sake, to make money. So if there is profit available, if there is a good return, they will invest. They don't bother X rules or Y rules.
But rules that change, rules that are today one thing, tomorrow different, those worry people, don't they?
I will tell you, the system is stable in our country. Governments may come, governments may go, but parliamentary democracy is there. The economic reforms are there. They are irreversible. They are unstoppable.
Let me give you an example of the sort of uncertainty that worries industrialists.
Yes.
You have a common minimum program to
Yes.
which officially the government is wedded.
Yes.
Yet only the other day, the General Secretary of the CPI, Mr. A.B. Bardhan, said publicly on television that he thought certain parts of the CMP had to be changed. Now that worries industrialists.
Everybody has their own opinions. It is a free country. Have we changed it?
But there's a threat to change it from a
No,
constituent
there is
of the
no
government.
threat at all. There is no threat at all. Everybody has the liberty to have their own opinions. Probably they may like to change it. Okay, if it is for the good, if it is an improvement, we'll all accept it. We are an open society. Nothing will happen. We don't have a hidden agenda.
We're not just an open society, Minister, we're often a quarreling society, and that's the problem. Let me give you another example. Your government is committed to public sector disinvestment. Your government is committed to measures to open up the insurance sector. The CPI and the CPM talk against those two policies every single day. That confuses industry.
No, it is bound to be there, in the sense formerly you had one party with 13 views. Now we have
One
13
government with
parties.
13 views.
Yes, one party I am talking about, the Congress party. Do you mean to say there were no difference of opinion inside the party? There were.
But were they ever expressed in this way?
Yes, expressed in that way in Parliament, in Lok Sabha, in Rajya Sabha, in newspapers.
Are you happy just imitating Congress's
No,
performance?
it is a way of life in any democracy.
Is it really? Let's push this a little, Minister. Next month in February, the CPI has announced that they will carry out nationwide agitations, what they're calling Rail Roko, Rasta Roko agitations, against your government's disinvestment policies. Do you accept that?
Just let us wait and see what they do, what they mean. I have no idea.
I'll give you another example.
Yes.
Just a couple of days ago, CITU, which is the Communist Trade Union, has described your policies of disinvestment as anti-national.
But it is there in the common minimum program. I am sorry, probably they have forgotten.
But this is it. When Mr. Bardhan says he wants to change the common minimum program, isn't he creating the uncertainty leading to loss of confidence?
It is not at all. It may be their view. Probably they may have forgotten something before. They may have remembered something now. So it is free in the sense they can come with a suggestion, with an improvement. If it is necessary, we will discuss it and approve it. And the entire nation will be knowing about it. We can't do it in secrecy.
Tell me something. You are Industries Minister,
Yes.
and industry looks to you not just for guidance, but for reassurance. And many industrialists are going to be hearing this interview today. These are people who are concerned by the different noises coming from the CPI, the CPM. How will you reassure them?
In a democratic society, different noises will come. How about those industrialists? CAI is making some noise. FICCI is making some noise. Bombay Club is there. They are forming and unforming clubs. So it is all, we have to take it as a way of life.
Isn't there a difference? FICCI, CII, ASSOCHAM making different noises is because they're different parts of industry with different lobbies to defend. When the government,
like
when the
that,
government starts,
you accept different lobbies, we are different parties, that's all.
But you are hopefully one government.
That's right. We are hopefully on government.
But
we are
when
moving in the right direction.
But when the CPI officially questions the CMP, which is the rule book upon which this government is based, then that's more than just democracy. That's questioning the basis of the government.
No, this is not questioning the basis of government. They are airing some views. That's all.
Do you think sometimes they air these views a little bit too publicly?
Probably they think it is fit. It may be for their own constituency. I don't know.
But
But it has not come to us. No, nobody has objected to it when CMP was written. Otherwise, he would not have found a place in the CMP.
Are they wrong to object to it today?
No, they are right. But let them come to us with the reasons. Let them come because the steering committee meets every time, very often.
Let me put this to you. Would you wish that they raise these objections behind closed doors rather than raise them in the papers and create doubt and uncertainty?
But where is the doubt? I don't know what is the doubt. Regarding disinvestment, what doubts they have created? Probably they are not for it. They don't want to disinvest to be done in certain sectors, certain industries. What is wrong in that?
Well, let's talk about disinvestment. Mr. Chaturanand Mishra, your colleague in government, the agricultural minister,
Yes.
says that the government should disinvest blue chip shares by asking the FIIs to disinvest their holdings in companies like Tisco or Reliance.
Yes, it is an opinion. It is going on. It is not a new opinion.
How do you as industries minister respond to that?
No, it is an opinion. What is wrong in that?
But give me your...
No, I'll tell you. See, many people, I think a former planning commission member has stated it. In India, we have got two public sectors. One is publicly owned public sectors and privately owned public sector. Do you know that? Many of the private sectors, majority shareholders are FIs.
Do you consider
So
Tisco...
that is a phenomenon. That is a phenomenon of India.
It's very interesting, this categorization from your lips, because you're industries minister. So let me ask you, do you consider companies like Tisco Telco to be part of the privately owned public sector?
Yes, ITC, I think majority shares are owned by FIs. Nothing wrong. There is different matter. They are owned by FIs.
Mr. Chaturanand Mishra, however, says that there is something wrong in a company where the majority shares are owned by FIIs, but the company is run by small private families.
Yes.
Do you share that view?
It is a fact.
But do you
Is it not a fact?
But there's a difference. He thinks it's wrong that it should be the case.
Right or wrong, I am not a moralist. It is a fact of life. It is happening. It is going on, not only here, in many countries.
Okay.
I think even in UK, the families run the show.
Let me reverse the question, sir. I don't want you to become defensive, because at the moment I'm asking you questions that are forcing you to defend issues. Industry looks to you for reassurance.
Yes.
And at the moment, every industrialist says he's a little worried, he's a little uncertain.
Why?
One reason is because they keep saying to themselves they're not sure how long this government will last. What can you say today? What can you say today that will reassure them?
I will tell you, the government may lose its majority, may go tomorrow, doesn't matter. But what will happen next day? There will be elections, there will be government, another government. But the process of reforms, as I have told you, they are irreversible, unstoppable. And I will tell you, hereafter, there won't be a one-party government, a monoparty rule in India. This kind of a joint rule or coalition is going to be the order of the day.
The important thing you said there is that the process of reforms is irreversible and unstoppable. But is it proceeding at the right pace?
Yes, yes. We have to be cautious. It may be, according to some observers, it may be going slow. But I don't want to use the phrase slow. We are cautious because we are the largest functioning democracy in the world. We are not China. We are not Singapore. We are not South Korea. Some of the Southeast Asian tigers, they are made up of different type of government. But we are the largest functioning democracy. So we have to take the people along. So we have to move cautiously. We are moving cautiously.
Are you saying that therefore industry is pushing too hard for changes too fast?
I don't think so. I don't think so. What kind of changes they are wanting? What kind of changes we are not doing? Can you tell me one example? We are doing on our own, in fact. They want certain laws should be amended. In that industrialist meeting, they suggested several things. They wanted to amend this law, that law, another they want to change this regulation, that regulation. It has been taken note of.
Will it be acted upon?
Yes, Prime Minister has given an assurance that it will be acted upon.
Can I talk to you about some of these laws that they want changes about? They are concerned that, for instance, MAT is hurting industry, it's hurting exports. Can you understand their concern?
You see, MAT has a powerful lobby against it. It has got a pro-lobby also. So today you must have seen one business affects body has supported it in an indirect way. But whatever has been expressed in that meeting has been taken note of by no less a person than the Honorable Prime Minister, and you will see the action very soon.
Will you raise your voice in Cabinet in favor of either withdrawing or at least amending MAT?
That's a different matter. What I do in Cabinet, I don't want to discuss with you.
But can you assure industrialists that their voices will be heard in this regard?
It will be taken note of, in the sense, in the Cabinet, what we do is something different. We are giving final shape and approval in the Cabinet. It is not a parliament. We don't discuss long.
Cabinet will act upon your advice. Your industries minister, this concerns industry. Can you share with me what your advice will be, to amend or to abolish MAT?
No, it is a different matter. We will take the appropriate decision at the appropriate time.
Okay, what will be the appropriate time?
Very soon. Not only about MAT, about the suggestions mooted by the industrialists at the meeting.
There is one other important suggestion mooted by industrialists. They feel that economic liberalization has happened. You're very proud about it. You say it's unstoppable, it's irreversible. But they say that as a result, some laws like FERA are outdated. They need to be either withdrawn or amended. Will you do that?
Yes, the views were expressed there. It has to be taken note of.
Do you, again, share those views?
No, I can't speak for all the government. I can't speak for myself. But my personal view is something different. I say there are certain laws which are outdated. There are certain laws which are anachronistic. It has to change with times. It has to be amended. I don't want to say this law, that law.
One of the associations of industry commented after the New Year's Eve meeting with the Prime Minister, where you were present, that the Prime Minister said MAT was a mistake. Can you confirm he said that?
I don't want to say anything about it.
You're not denying that he said it.
I don't want to comment about it.
Can I ask you your own opinion? After all, your industries minister, people look to you for guidance.
No, my personal opinion is something different. Here, I am talking to you as the representative of the United Front government.
Okay, one last little nitty-gritty. A lot of the associations of industry have petitioned the government to reduce corporate tax. Some talk about reducing it to 30-35%, some talk about reducing it to 20%, but they're all talking about substantial reductions. How do you respond to that?
Everybody wants to reduce the tax burden. So the very ideal taxation will be, the rate should be less, the base should be broad.
You sound sympathetic.
I say even take personal income tax. Don't you want your taxes to be reduced? So every citizen, every lobby wants the tax to be reduced. That's why the ideal situation will be, there should be a wider tax base and less rate of tax.
Is this the direction in which you would like?
No, that is the ideal. I mean any.
And is this the direction in which you'd like the government to go?
That's right.
Are you confident that many of the things that you're now saying action will be taken about, amending or withdrawing MAT, amending or withdrawing FERA, reducing corporate taxation, are you confident in all these areas you will have the support of
probably
CPI?
You were not there when those things were discussed. In that meeting, several other things were mooted, were suggested. These are the only fringe things.
I'll come to the others. All I was asking here is, are you confident that in these three areas, MAT, corporate tax, FERA, the CPI, the CPM will support what you might want to do?
You will be surprised to know a CPM economist who spoke on the day, he was not in favor of MAT.
At that point, Minister, we have to take a commercial break, but I do want to continue this discussion in a minute. Don't go away. We'll be back straight after this break. Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with the Industries Minister, Mr. Murasoli Maran. All right, Minister, you spoke about some of the many other issues you'd like to talk about which were raised at this meeting on New Year's Eve. Let's turn to those now. One of the biggest hurdles industrialists say is that whilst your ministry is very fast at clearing projects, other ministries, they often mention the Environment Ministry, becomes an obstacle and that things slow down. Can you understand that sort of concern?
You see, Environment Ministry is made up of it is a different cup of tea. See, it is a very complex matter. They have to go slow.
But do you accept that in going slow, sometimes they become an obstacle?
Sometimes it may look, but in the larger interest, they may be doing good.
Tell me something. It looks to many people as if we've liberalized the economy, but there's so much paperwork, so much bureaucracy involved in getting clearances that it seems we haven't liberalized the administrative system.
I agree with you. We have liberalized the economy. We are liberalizing the economy, but the administration is not liberalized. I agree with you. We have to take necessary steps.
Share with me, what sort of steps do you think are needed?
Say, for example, first the bureaucracy should change their mind. Things have changed. The philosophy has changed. We are living in a different period. We are wedded to a different idea. The paradigm has changed. So the change is not reflected in certain areas of administration. I don't want to blame the individuals. So it will take time. You should also understand, for the last 2-3 years, nothing has happened. We have not moved faster in the reform process. Again, we are moving faster. So it will take some time.
But in the meantime, it's not just that different ministries will look as if they're obstacles. Within ministries, even bureaucrats will be holding the process up.
See, bureaucrats are there. They are very essential part of the government. They are the steel frame. See, without that, we can't do. That factor also is important.
But
so you can't do away with the bureaucrats.
But sometimes the steel
They
frame,
are managers.
sometimes they may manage a little slowly.
Just like it happens in private sector also.
Another major concern that industrialists talk about is that they say it's one thing to give permission to set up industry. What about the infrastructure problem that this country faces? To give you an example, we're sitting in Delhi. This city, the capital of India, has been experiencing such terrible power cuts, it's as if we're living in the dark ages. How do you tackle those problems?
I agree with you. We are giving top priority to the development of infrastructure. So we are inviting foreign investment, public investment and private investment. So we have made a beginning. Of course, in certain areas we are moving slowly. I agree with you.
Are you happy with the beginning you made?
I am happy with the beginning. At least there is a realization. You are asking that question, I am replying to that. That itself is a very good indicator.
You also said we are moving slowly. What are the things that you think should happen faster?
In the sense, there are several clearances. Not only we are a federal setup. See, for example, I am in charge of FIPB. It is just opening one door for foreign investment. Then for getting other licenses, they have to find the destination. The destination may be Tamil Nadu, there may be Maharashtra. They have to get hundreds of clearances.
The state governments become another problem.
Yes, so it is a problem. At the same time, we can't do without that also, because we are living in a federal setup. You can't do away with the states. We are not a unitary state. We are not an authoritarian state like China. In China, you go land up in the morning, you get the MOU signed, they will allocate you the land, you can inspect it, you can come back in the evening. Is it possible in India?
But tell me something. I accept the explanation you're giving. How do you reply to this? The telecom licenses have been waiting finalization for over a year and nothing's happening. The whole process has stalled.
You know why? You know why?
You tell me.
The great Sukram factor was there. So naturally, people has to be cautious. Don't you think so? After that thing, after that accident or whatever it is, do you mean to say anybody will walk into that line? They have to be careful.
Are you saying that fear that someone will make an allegation of corruption
not only fear, they have to be careful. Nobody would like to make that kind of mistake once again. Nobody will make. So they have to be careful. Naturally, they have to be slow.
Tell me something. You say they have to be careful, they have to be slow. Aren't we now moving too much in the other direction? Aren't we being too careful, too slow? Aren't we holding things up?
It is better to be careful than not.
When do you expect these telecom licenses, which are over a year late, when do you expect them
I
to be
think
finalized?
I think very soon they will get the clearance.
In January?
January or before Parliament session, I hope.
Before the Parliament session?
I think so.
Okay. Tell me something else. Your industry minister, a lot of industrialists are going to be listening to this, and I began by saying that industrialists' biggest concern was confidence. You've answered that. We then talked about certain specific nitty-gritties that worry them. You've answered that. There is another concern industrialists have. It's highlighted by what's been happening to ITC officials and Shaw Wallace officials. They say that they're being raided with tremendous publicity. The investigating agencies then talk to the press very openly. People's reputations are destroyed long before they are found guilty, and they object to this. Can you understand their feelings in this regard?
No, what do you want to convey? Do you mean to say nobody should be raided? If any violator is there, if violations are there, what is your advice? You tell me.
They're talking not about the raid.
If there is a violation.
They're talking, Minister, not about the raid. They're talking about the publicity that surrounds the raid. They're talking about investigating agencies giving press
nowadays
statements.
things have changed. Investigating journalists like you, will you be keeping quiet? I think blame is on you. You give the publicity. Nobody gives the publicity.
We ask the questions. The investigating agencies provide the answers and make the insinuations.
Otherwise, you won't be keeping quiet.
Don't
I know. See, I was a journalist. I know. 10 years ago, situation was something different. Now, situation is different. You don't have one single financial paper 10 years ago. Now you have got half a dozen. How are you going to fill up those pink pages?
Tell me something.
We want information. We want news.
Are you therefore saying to the industry associations, because all of them have said to you, please, don't publicize the raids the way you do. Don't make us guilty before we're convicted. You're saying to them,
I agree with you. Nobody is guilty unless they are found guilty by a court of law. I agree with you. But the government alone is not responsible for giving publicity. I would say the newspapers also, they are doing the duty. I am not blaming them.
okay,
The things have changed.
okay, let's say newspapers are partly to blame, but newspapers couldn't write articles
I am
unless
not
the CBI.
blaming newspaper. They are doing their journalistic duty.
But there's one thing you could do.
Yes?
You could, as a member of the government, say to the enforcement directorate and the CBI, listen, boys,
Yes?
raid, don't speak in public.
Okay. Are they speaking? You are inventing. You are getting information.
They are still replying.
I mean, you represent that
They
tribe,
could always,
that tribe.
they could
You and
always
I belong to the tribe,
But
the
Minister-
journalistic tribe.
But Minister, they could always refuse to say no comment. They could always say no comment.
No, but I don't think many news items are inferences or what do you call investigative news items.
Tell me something, Minister. I can see that you're a person who's both very political but also very concerned about giving the right message to industry. Do you think in this regard, when we're talking about raids and publicity about raids, that you're giving the right message to industrialists?
You see, and even in that industrialist meeting, nobody pleaded with the government or asked the Prime Minister or the Finance Minister not to raid.
It's just the publicity they wanted controlled.
No, they didn't even say that also. The sense, if you are guilty, okay, punish us. That is what they said. I don't think our industrialists will come and say, don't raid us. Nobody will say that.
Minister, I'm going to let you have the last word because we've run right out of time. Thank you very much for talking so openly to InFocus. That's it this week. We'll be back next week with another interviewee. But for today, from Udyog Bhavan in New Delhi, goodbye.